Maybe. Just maybe.
All right, the recording is going. Last time on the World of Titan, Ruz the Gorgon Fighter, Kettle the Tabaxi Druid, Dustu the Tortle Bard, Aroma the Kobold Monk, and Barbus the Elven Cleric made their way into the underground temple of the Kree Strazar to complete the Krsnik ritual for Barbus. As they made their way down, they discovered numerous skeletons and a mysterious powder-like substance covering the debris and bodies, which Kettle promptly snorted. Barbus removed the curse from Kettle just in time for the arrival of the remaining Kree Strazar. This amalgamation of countless souls attacked the party and would have killed Ruz had Dustu not pulled them out of their grasp. With the abomination pinned in place through the combined actions of Aroma and Barbus, Ruz let out a furious rain of arrows, finally slaying the creature. The party then continued down into the sprawling cavern that housed the blood well of the Krsnik. That is where we left off. So to describe this place, for both to refresh everybody and also for people that were not here last session, as you guys head down this next stairwell, it opens up into a vast, very high-ceilinged cavern. Down below, you can see kind of at a central ritual plinth, there is a well-like structure with in the center of it a statue of a woman that would seem to be Zeril, and on each side of it, all of the different holy symbols are embedded into parts of the structure. Surrounding this are several different buildings, possibly housing either quarters for the Kree Strazar to sleep in, maybe some weapons and supplies. Hard to tell from this distance. But it does look like a small kind of encampment, maybe a small village of sorts. Strangely, there are a number of trees and foliage down here, but not like underdark trees. Stuff you'd expect to see on the surface, which is strange that it would sustain itself down here so well, though it is overgrown clearly, having not been taken care of. There's also notably a kind of oculus embedded in the ceiling that's about 100 feet in diameter, that opens up and reveals the moon and night sky up ahead. Is a very strange area. Most notably, would stick out to you guys is that the high ceilings in here are too high for how far down you went. For the ceilings to be this high, there would have needed to have been a large hill or a mountain behind the mansion that wasn't there. It was embedded into a cliff, but this ceiling does extend beyond the top of where that cliff was, or should rather. What do you guys want to do?
Well, first things first, I imagine I have to go to... would it be the statue? Probably the statue of Zalmesh.
Well, so there's not a statue of Zalmesh, but there is a holy symbol of Zalmesh embedded on the side of the well. And there seems to be there's like a circular like plinth that extends out from around the well that's like, seems to be like an area for people to sit and meditate or pray at. You head over to there.
Yeah. Before I do, because I don't know how long this will take me, I'm going to turn to the rest of the party. I'm going to do what needs to be done, but... Ruz, that... whatever you did to that creature that was made up of those people, can you do that to Edgar? Send him back to where he belongs.
You would also note, as you head down here, there is a number of other bodies down here as well.
Yeah.
it may be appropriate to kind of gather them up and do a ritual pyre of some sort, if that's
Okay.
something you want to do.
Oh,
Ruz nods very solemnly and then starts to gather bodies, not entirely there, but kind of almost on autopilot.
Okay.
Aroma would like to help with that.
You can do that. You guys are going about collecting the different bodies. All in all, like after you already burned the amalgamation, which seemed to be a lot of the bodies, but altogether, there's probably, if you head back up, grab the bodies up there because there was a couple up there, and all the ones down here. There's probably upwards of 80, maybe 100 bodies left, just strewn about, all in kinds of. None of them looked like they were killed. Like none of them looked like they were caught off guard per se and killed without a fight. It looks like there was a battle here.
Do they still have their flesh?
No. Most of them would have the flesh mostly rotted. They're largely skeletal at this point. It does look like, I mean, you know from the context, it has been quite some time they've been down here.
Yeah, but like that they didn't have the same curse as the other skeletons we encountered further up.
Yeah, well, it seemed like the ones that were cursed retained their flesh. The ones that were not cursed rotted away.
Okay.
But you can gather them. You can also probably, there's some loose wood and sticks. There are some bundles of wood here and there that were probably used for supplies. You can gather together if you want to build like a proper pyre. Roll me a survival check to see how much wood you get.
Who?
Anyone who wants. Anyone who's doing this. And you can
I
do it
was
with
just
advantage.
Yay.
Okay. Well, 15. You get enough wood to make a decent sized pyre. That'll burn most of the bodies you have here. A lot of the burning's probably gonna come like you'll start burning the initial bodies and then start throwing what's left of the other bodies on top of it to kind of keep fueling it. Is what you're kind of gonna have to do just because there's so many of them. But you can do kind of a funeral pyre put together down here. While you guys are doing that, Barbus, what are you doing?
I will be attempting to commune with Zalmesh then over at the well.
Okay. How do you go? How does Barbus go about doing this?
I would imagine he would take his holy symbol. You said there's what's around the well there?
It's just kind of like a flat structure for people to like sit at and pray. Like a little it's basically like the well itself is on a raised platform with space for you to sit and pray at.
Gotcha.
And then the lip of the well is where the different holy symbols are engraved.
Okay.
Um,
And then he would probably get down, sit by the symbol of Zalmesh, take his out, and kind of hold it up to his head as he leans down.
so you
As he kind of attempts to channel his divinity.
so this is going to be a wisdom check. With you, I'm going to allow you to add your proficiency because you are a cleric.
Okay. So I'm going to roll it as a wisdom save just because I have proficiency with that.
That is fine.
22.
All right. So you sit down for a bit. It's strange because you've never really tried to commune like this. Like the ways you've communed with God in your past are usually through spells and abilities that were given to you by your god, or in some cases rituals that were shown to you by another follower or cleric of Zalmesh. So you realize you don't really know. You don't know how to start the conversation because you've never really had to do that before.
Yeah.
But you kind of sit sit there with a holy symbol held to your head, kind of try to open up your mind, be accepting and ready and willing for Zalmesh to speak to you in some way. And that's where you are for right now.
Okay.
3 hours go by. What is the rest of the party doing?
I think Dusty's gonna just inspect around.
Okay. Are you looking for something specific or just the general area?
I want to say maybe hidden switches or hidden chests.
Well, so you're looking at the buildings then.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Okay. There's a number of buildings here. It's weird because it's like, despite being underground, it's kind of structured like a village or maybe like an outpost. I'd say it's almost more like a like an old outpost where like a lot of the stuff is like utility, and then there are homes to sleep in. But it's a very clearly like the priority structures were the things that like, things that we need to sustain ourselves here. As you look around, checking out the different buildings, you find what would most stand out to you? You find an armory. An armory from the Kristrazar. It's obviously not been maintained for a while, but it's in strangely good shape considering how long it's been. As you look around, there's every standard weapon you could want to find here, all silvered.
Okay.
I'd also say if you're looking for like arrows and bolts, I'd say you could get 200 silvered arrows, 200 silvered bolts. Is how are housed here.
Hand crossbow takes bolts. So,
That is correct.
I would take I think I would only need 20.
Okay. Yeah, and you can
silver
only
bolts.
carry so many with like the equipment you have. I'd also like you to roll me an investigation check here.
Okay, just let me
See if anything sticks out to you.
Okay. We go add that and to the inventory and then investigation. Hey.
You find there is a hand axe in a case. Not a hand axe. A war axe. So one lower than the battle axe. The next smaller axe. That is very fine make. It's not magical, but it is a masterwork weapon. Which means it has a +1 to attack and damage rolls, but it is not magical by any means. So it'll still, if you drop in lava, it'll still go away. If it won't overcome magical resistance, you just get +1 just because it's a very fine make. That's all that stands out to you here. Ruz, Kettle, and
So, yeah, I'll take it. Can you
Oh, also, I almost forgot to mention this. So while to make sure that everyone has something to do when the scene is not focused on them, and I want you guys to have something to do. And these last few sessions have been really good roleplay wise, and I want to reward that. So I have one question: who wants to level up?
me?
No. I mean, yes.
Yes.
Okay, Rose doesn't
Yeah.
level up. Everybody else gets to level up.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Rose. You get to level up as well.
Oh boy.
Are you serious? Wait,
Oh,
you're not trolling,
oh.
right? You're not trolling, right?
No, you all get to. This was earlier than I wanted to do it, but because these past few sessions have been really good, and I want you guys to have something to be doing in the background, you all level up, and you can do
Yes.
that in the background over the course of this.
Okay.
I will say if you have to discuss with each other about level up stuff, do that in the side chat, please. If you have any questions for me, either message me or wait till I come to you in the scene, and then ask me at the top of that. But you can be doing that in the background.
Before you go away, so the Masterwork War Axe,
Yes.
does it get a +1 to the damage roll as well, or just to hit?
Yes. +1 to attack and damage rolls. But
Awesome.
it is not magical, so it's not going to overcome resistances or anything. It's just very well made.
Gotcha. Okay, so sweet. So we level up. So I'm gonna just roll the hit dice right now, and then
Everyone can roll their hit dice.
okay, that's not terrible, but I get +2 to it, so that's 7.
Yeah, because you got tough. So while
Yep,
he's doing that, Aroma, Ruz, Kettle, anything you guys want to be doing here?
Well, Aroma did want to meditate to get some ki and health back. Leveling up kind of fixes that, I think. But
Well, you can say you're taking some time to meditate, take a short rest.
yeah.
Just kind of, catching your breath for a bit. Is there anything Ruz is doing in this time, or would you like to short rest as well?
Ruz will be taking a short rest, and the flavor is Ruz is trying to just try and maybe cope with what almost happened.
Yeah.
Did Ruz almost die?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ruz
Yes,
was very
yeah.
close.
Yeah, Ruz
Yeah.
was down and almost devoured.
Yeah.
Ruz
Like
has...
Ruz was basically being like ripped to shreds by all those arms pulling them right into
I gotta refresh the page.
into the thing.
And so that also means officially Ruz has had the most near-death encounters in this campaign so far, at 2.
Yay!
Second place is Kettle at 1.
What'd I do?
You have the second place for near-death encounters.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that the first game? That was the first game. I almost got killed by swords.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. First game, I don't necessarily count first game because literally your full HP is a near-death encounter when you're level 1.
It's true.
But speaking of which, Kettle, is there anything you want to be doing in this area while you're here?
Kettle found a shiny bug and is currently studying it.
Interestingly,
I'm not sure if she's actually studying it or if she just likes the fact that she's shiny.
Interestingly, there's actually no insects down here.
Then what the hell is she looking at?
Well,
that's a good
roll
question.
an investigation check for me.
I'm gonna roll an
That's
investigation.
a fan. Yes. Oh, and I get counter charm. Let's go.
Investigation. Which is like 0, so we'll see.
Oh,
damn!
So
Kettle has
Kettle
killed back
has
Tail.
actually
I'm not even
found.
very strong in investigation. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes you just roll well.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Cool. The gods have smiled on me.
Kettle is wandering around looking for bugs and manages to wander into a building that would seem to be it's almost like an armory, but rather than being an armory for weapons, it's a storage place for magical components. And you find a lot of fucking gems here. I'm gonna read off some stuff. Who wants to write this down? Kettle found it, but who wants to write this down?
I'll write it down.
Okay.
Wait a second.
First of all, this would seem to be a location for specifically components for magical spells that required monetary components that couldn't just be overwritten by other stuff.
Yep.
You find an agate worth 250 gold, a ruby worth 1,000 gold,
Ooh, shiny.
3 pearls worth 100 gold each, 400 gold worth of powdered diamonds, 100 gold worth of powdered silver, 2 diamonds worth 300 gold, 1 diamond worth 500 gold, and a 1,000 gold scrying orb.
Kettle is currently wondering if she consumes the powdered diamonds, will she be sparkly on the inside?
Momentarily, before you probably start to
You
do something wrong with your lungs with diamonds.
Kettle
Probably.
doesn't have a great track record with powdered things these last 2 sessions.
He does not.
So Kettle wanders into that and probably promptly has a stroke and just starts gathering all of this in a pile to sleep on.
Her eyes are giant.
Maybe considers telling Ruz about it briefly, but then just like, I'll tell him later. So it's piling it all.
This is very busy right now, pretending she did not die. And so, Kettle will be a good friend and not excite them further. Their hearts only take so much.
Do Ruz and Aroma talk at all while they're short resting, or are you guys just catching your breath?
Probably, but do you want us to roleplay that out?
If you want
We
to,
can do it in the side
you
chat.
don't have to if you don't want to. This is the last opportunity before I jump back to
I'm
Barbus.
just wondering because before you don't want like important things we discussed in the side chat where you can't record.
Yeah,
Right,
also
fair.
where I wouldn't be privy to it.
That's
true.
It's difficult. I'd prefer not to do that in the side chat as much as
All
we
right.
can. But
Gotcha.
if you guys want to roleplay, or we can come back to, there's going to be more opportunities for you to roleplay. I'm just saying if you want to do anything right now before I go back to Barbus.
Yeah, I think it's the first 3 hours. I think after an hour or so, Aroma would go over and go over to Ruz and check on how they're doing because they've been awfully quiet and. Hey.
Ah,
Ruz kind of like,
Sorry, Kettle.
wait, did I miss something? I got confused momentarily.
Oh no, we scared Kettle. We're just wondering how you. That was a lot. That. You okay?
Ruz, Ruz kind of looks at Aroma and kind of lets out a long sigh and says, "I don't know.
I'll say
That was a lot. Not the worst thing I've experienced, but
to add to the flavor of that final, I should have thought of this last time, but the flavor of that final strike from last session, because Aroma had your eye on, correct?
Yeah.
So what you would have seen when you looked at Ruz doing that is that spectral aura of a dragon that you've seen before over Ruz when you've used it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like positioned in giving like a positioned like it was giving like a fire breath or whatever kind of breath weapon it would have, but where the breath would come out was where Ruz was just firing countless arrows. It was a very kind of primal surge of energy that aura seemed to react to.
Yeah. Their eye has disappeared now, though, right?
If it's been an hour, yes, it would have.
Yeah, you said it was 3, I think, in this time that slapped.
Yes, and you said it was about an hour when you would have gone to do this.
Yeah. So, can we ask you a personal question?
Ruz kind of like thinks for a moment, looks a little confused, but nods slowly.
Did you know that you're haunted by this big lizard thing?
Ruz looks very confused.
When we had the eye on, we saw like we see things differently, and one of the things we saw was this big like lizard fire breathing thing that like is always around you.
Ruz kind of. Hold on, I'm gonna roll a I'm gonna roll a deception check. Is it okay if I give myself disadvantage on this?
Sure.
Would you be going against Aroma's insight?
Yeah, sure.
25.
sees through
Great.
you.
Ruz is looking very sketchy all of a sudden and kind of like avoids making eye contact. As if overselling a not as if almost trying to oversell nonchalant kind of like, oh, that's nothing, or oh, that's not a big deal, or oh, that's just and it's just becoming even more obvious the longer Ruz is avoiding the eye contact.
Roma
Was that on? You cut out there for a second.
gives kind of a sympathetic looking tabby dog at and they flop down, not looking at Rose, just beside them, grabbing their feet, kind of playing with it with their hands like kids do. It's like, we understand. We have weird things like that. We've seen it too. Well, not seen that, but we've seen weird things, and you don't have to talk about it, but
If I was to
we,
talk about it,
no,
you'd
well,
have to.
we're good listeners. And they point at their
Are
big
you good
ears.
at keeping secrets?
Is Vicky cutting out for anyone else, or is that just me?
If we
Damn
Oh,
it. Wait. There you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Sorry, you guys were cutting out a ton for me. I had to, and you also couldn't hear me, so I had to leave and come back in.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So continue.
yeah, we can keep secrets. You just gotta tell us first, because we're not good at picking up on it is and what people say.
Ruz nods.
But also, you don't have to talk about it right now, because like there was a lot, and we just also wanted to make sure that like the
All right, there we go. Sorry, I changed the network, so hopefully that'll be the last of my
Internet
connection
trouble.
issues.
yeah, we're lost the train of thought of what we were gonna say. So
I will talk to you about this later. I will tell you more details about this later.
Okay.
I will say right now though, if you see me, not just that ghost around me, but if you see me changing into that, run.
They stay silent and consider that for a moment, and then okay.
Ruz nods and kind of like withdraws back into themselves for a bit.
All right. While that is happening, Barbus, 3 hours
Yes.
have gone by. You have long since stopped holding the holy symbol to your forehead as your arm was starting to get tired. And adopted a more neutral meditating position. And it's strange because you're having a hard time bridging that gap to Zalmesh right now, but
Hmm.
you are finding yourself kind of interacting and kind of communing with the area you're in. You've always had this kind of weird ability that maybe you weren't even necessarily conscious of it early on, but you can kind of get a sense of an area, of the emotion and energy of a place. Sometimes even pick up memories. When you were a kid, it was often in the form of nightmares, that you have these dreams of things that felt almost too real to just be dreams. And as you kind of feel yourself commune with this place, you can feel the fact that the ceiling goes up as far as it does is a giveaway on its own. But you can feel that this is not necessarily just on the prime material plane. And you can feel the essence of this kind of liminal space between the realm of the dead and the realm of the living that you are existing in this moment. Roll me another wisdom check.
Okay. 15.
So in this moment, as you are meditating, I gotta add some stuff up real quick. As you're meditating, you feel as you're connecting with this place, you can almost kind of reach out to it and ask for something. Who does Barbus want to speak to right now? What currently is the anxiety plaguing Barbus that he wants to speak to someone to kind of alleviate that? What is that thing for him right now in this moment?
This is... So... I would say, if I was to choose, do I have to know specifically who the person is?
No, just like,
No?
well, what is the... Barbus is essentially looking for guidance. I'm asking, what is the thing Barbus needs, that he feels he needs guidance in or reassurance of right now? And what vague kind of entity does he feel could give that? Is the fact that this place is clearly largely devoted to Zerol, a different god, is that plaguing at his mind? Is it the fact that he is becoming what he is to begin with? Is that bothering him? Is it just the inexperience in this area? What is the thing that currently is running through his head?
I would say he's definitely worried he's about to become a monster.
Okay. So would you say with that is it more a worry that he's not going to succeed in the ritual and become a vampire instead, or is he worried that even if he does succeed, that a Krsnik is a monster in itself?
I would say he's kind of come to terms with the fact that Krsnik is, for all intents and purposes, very similar, if not identical, to a vampire.
Okay.
But he's more so worried about the failure.
So he's worried he's not going to be able to make that connection.
Yes.
All right. In that case, you're feeling you kind of, both because you don't know what it means to become a Krsnik, so you don't know what this guide is to begin with, and you also don't know if Zalmesh has done this for somebody before, so you don't know if he's even willing to help you here. And you feel kind of the need of guidance from another Krsnik, but also a Krsnik of Zalmesh. And as you kind of put that essence into the air, and close your eyes briefly for a moment, and when you open them back up, you see sitting across from you, cross-legged just like you, a tabaxi man, a light calico kind of coat, like his fur coat, like kind of calico, with a blue kind of captain's jacket that he's wearing, and then these two floating metal orbs that hover over each shoulder. Very polished kind of metal orbs. They look almost like liquid as they float over him. My name is Walton Swiftpaw. I was a Krsnik of Zalmesh. I died in Marshall's coup over 1,000 years ago. He just stares at you.
I seek your guidance.
It's a strange predicament you are in.
It
It is not often one can commune with the dead here, even one so experienced with it. What do you need my guidance in?
I have been given the chance to become what you once were. But I don't know if I have the ability to follow through.
What is the barrier in your way? What blocks your ability?
I fear I cannot talk to Zalmesh. It's not something I've ever attempted. This place is significant.
Few have ever been in a position to make demands of the gods. But that does not mean the gods do not hear our prayers. You have surely made a connection with Zalmesh before, and he points, kind of gestures vaguely to your holy symbol, your various religious accoutrement that you have over your body. Why should this be so different? As you can see, he has given this boon before, and he has given you boons before. It is not a question of if you are able. It is a question of if he is.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely able.
Kind of just lost in thought for the moment. Still confused at what's going on, the man he's talking to. But his words don't fall on deaf ears.
Is this the path that you think is right for yourself?
I think it's the path of the righteous.
Do you think this is the path that he wants for you?
I'm not certain.
Zalmesh is not one to force someone down a road, but he does have a keen eye for where someone belongs in time. It could be that maybe this is not the path for you, and perhaps you will follow a different one. And if that is what happens, it is what happens. Should you fail, there are certainly ways to remove the curse of vampirism from you. It also may be that this could be the path for you, but maybe Zalmesh does not see themselves as the one to walk you down that path. There are many possibilities in what could happen here as you meditate. Many opportunities for deities to reach out a hand. It could be Zalmesh, it could be another. But the point is that whichever path you choose to walk down, it will be your choice. There is consequence to failure, that is absolutely true. but the consequence will not be so much that it will bury you. You have the opportunity to fail.
Spoken like a true inventor. I guess kind of a
Nothing teaches you
a
the way
nervous
to build
laugh.
something like failing to build it the first time.
Aye.
Kind of puts
A
his hands
feeling I'm
together and
very
bows
familiar.
to you.
He will bow back.
May it be many years before you join me on the other side.
Thank you.
You close your eyes and he's gone once again as you return to your meditation. While that is happening, what the fuck is everyone else doing?
Dusty's talking about how he found this armory, and he's like, "Oh, where's Barbus? He's gonna love this." Oh,
You
he's
walk up, you actually walk up at the time this conversation would have been happening, but you just see Barbus there, lost in thought, meditation.
She's probably gonna look over and be like, "Ah, he's doing his thing. I can wait."
Re-roll that one, Rose. That's a
I
bracket.
noticed the bit right there.
There you go.
Three's better than a 1.
Is that hit die, or are you rolling your health for your level up?
Hey,
That's for the level up.
hey, I have a quick question, Dan.
Sure.
You said any reroll, right? Could I re-roll the hit die I did for the level up earlier? Because I realized I rolled a 2 on the die, so that actually wasn't that good.
You could if you want.
Okay.
I'll allow that.
God hates me.
I'll say that to be fair, that's also I realize not a d20 roll, so I'll say that wasn't using your reroll. You can use your reroll on something else other than that.
It doesn't matter. It was the same thing I rolled beforehand.
God doesn't hate you. That is just the path he has chosen for you.
So the path of hatred.
That's the path Thace chose
The path
for
of
you.
not enough.
Thace is a lot. Thace
okay.
pampers people a lot less than Zalmesh does.
Gotcha.
She's a very cruel mistress. As you walk up to Barbus with like a bundle full of silvered weapons in your hand, you try to like see if you can like get his attention. He seems completely zoned out. Like you're not able to get his attention at all, really.
It's okay. That's okay. He's got to do his thing, just like the rest of us.
You wander back, lousy claying of the dozens of weapons you're carrying in your big turtle paws.
And you'd be like, "Hey, Roz, check this out."
Dropping a couple here and there.
Yeah.
Kettle, Aroma, Ruz, what are you guys doing? There's a couple more buildings to check out if you'd like.
Yeah, the Aroma will probably wander around and try to check out the building.
Is there anything particular you're looking for when you're looking through these buildings?
Libraries, texts,
Okay.
art.
You said libraries first. Roll me an investigation check.
I will also like to do some investigating for libraries too.
Okay, I'll say you can do that for libraries, and then she can do that for art if you guys want to split it up that way.
Okay. Can I, after we make a can we assist each other on these rolls?
Unless you want to both look for the same thing, no.
Okay.
And this is really like you can find the building easy enough. This is you looking through it. So if you want to both go to the same building and look for something, or if you want to split up, it's your choice. You've got time, so.
Yeah, why don't we help each other, and then the next run we can go to a different place.
So you're
I
looking
was
for
thinking that too,
library then, is what you want to look for first, I believe you said.
Yeah. Rez, I think you're more intelligent than Aroma.
Debatable, but statistically, yes.
Also, Kettle, for what you just messaged me, roll a sleight of hand.
What you laughing at?
Okay.
I'm actually proficient in sleight of hand.
Okay,
No,
we'll get
I
to
believe
that. You do that relatively successfully for the materials you're working with. We can come back to that in a moment if you'd like.
Yeah, I just forgot it did that.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
So
I'm sorry,
Rose,
Danny. I missed what you said.
we'll come to you. Managed to do that pretty successfully for the materials you're working with on that. We'll come back to that in a moment, if you'd like. So, Rose and Aroma, you find a building pretty quickly that seems to be a library with it. It's the one closest to the well itself. There does seem to also be a writing desk there. It seems some admin work was probably done here at some point. But there are a number of bookshelves. And in comparison to the bookshelves back in the mansion, these ones are actually very well stocked. There is a lot of books here, many probably history. I'll say, if you wanted to try to take these with you, you could fill up the bag of holding with books.
Russ is already doing it.
Yep.
Russ is already doing it.
So, what languages do you guys speak?
Oh, before we get into that, when we burned the bodies, did we include Edgar's bodies and
Yes.
the other bodies that you have in the bag?
Yes. As
Yeah.
much as I'm
You could've.
tempted to keep those bodies just to sit for the curiosity.
So
How
tell
far
them
can you take
through.
that?
Alright.
And these ancient texts are gonna get guts all over them.
So,
I don't know if they are they always are they touching when that happens?
not necessarily. But
Okay.
for this, I'd say no. Some DMs rule the other way, which I don't take issue with. But for this, I'd say they're in their own kind of pocket space. They don't necessarily need to interact. But what languages do you guys speak? Or more importantly, read?
Common, worm tongue, and draconic.
Partial tongue, common, and giant.
All right. You can't read any of these books. They don't seem to be written in a language you guys understand. But I will say there are 3 that you can get the general vibe of. The first one, can't read the cover of it, but as you open it, it is a list of names, dates, and then the names of different gods. And as you flip through, you notice most of the names are in black. Every now and again you'll flip through and you see one that's in red, but then the red ink fades back into black after a second. As you flip through further, you see Edgar's name, which was purple, and fades into black. You find towards the latter half, like later middle of the book, probably like the last part of like the second third of it, you'd say. You see 2 names right next to each other that are colored. Marshall Blackdrake, which is in red, and Maria Blackdrake, which is in purple. And both list Zeril as the god.
Any dates near them?
There would be dates near them, but I do not have that off prepared right now. I'll give that to you later once I double check the timeline.
Okay.
But besides that, what did you get for
16?
The only other name that stands out to you is there is a name Walton Swiftpaw with Zalmesh. The only reason it stands out to you is because he's one of the only names to Zalmesh there. Like in most, like there's a couple other here and there, but he's like the first one you see.
Okay.
Which I don't believe the name Swiftpaw stands out to any of you guys. It would stand out to Barbus and Kettle, but it would not stand out to you.
He was right. Sorry.
Did you immediately guess that when Barbus was talking to Walton that he was your ancestor?
It wasn't immediate.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it was.
I saw your face.
He was
You saw the gears turning. Like, wait, I know that name.
To
How
give
do I know that
context,
name?
he would be your great however many great uncle that left the family because he was sick of their bullshit. And he came to be a
he was
Kristrazar.
kindred spirit.
Yeah. Another book you find seems to be a bit of like an instruction manual with a kind of physiological diagram of a number of different undead creatures. Unfortunately, you cannot read the language it is in, so it is not especially helpful. You can't really get the main use out of it, but if you could read it, you'd be able to learn some insights on different undead you might fight, things that they might be weak to, different strategies for fighting them, things to keep in mind, different physiological stuff about their body and how they're animated. And then the last one you get would seem to be it is a compilation of different spell, like it's a spell book, but the spell books are organized and listed, and it seems to almost be like a book of like recommendation of like, hey, if you're doing this, take these spells, and then like lists seems to be components, but again, you don't speak the language, so as near as you can tell, it is a spell instruction manual recommending different types of spells for different types of encounters, and including like the list of necessary components for them.
Okay.
And
And we're still taking like more books in the bag that we're not looking at.
yes, a lot of the other ones would seem to be, as near as you can tell, maybe history books, could be journals of first-hand accounts. All of them are written in the same language that you cannot read. So it's hard to tell, but they probably have some useful information in there if you can figure out what language they're written in.
Okay.
Kettle, you successfully did the thing you were trying to do. Do you want to do something with that now, or do you want to wait?
Kettle goes up to Raz, and then Kettle takes Raz's hand, palm up, and then places something in it, and then closes Raz's fingers around it, and Kettle says, "This is for when you need cheering up." And then Kettle scampers off.
Kind of like just standing there. Oh, what?
As though nothing happened.
Kettle hands you this like loose bit of torn cloth that is tied together into this tight little bundle. It's very small. Like not even like the size of a coin pouch. This is like maybe a little bit larger than a marble of wrapped cloth.
Ruz is going to unwrap it because, I mean, the books helped, but Ruz is still. The books are currently just a distraction, and Ruz is just now super curious. So Ruz opens this up.
Okay. You open it up. It is a pearl. So a little 100 gold pearl.
Oh.
Oh, it's adorable. Remember the first gift you ever gave Kettle was a little fake pearl because it was all you could afford, and you promised her something shiny?
Oh my god!
Because I remember that.
Oh, that's adorable.
That's too good.
Kettle is a very cute cat. Even with her shedding.
Speaking of Ruz, you said in the last session Dustu is the one who basically stopped him from being annihilated.
Them, yes.
Yes.
Right.
Them, yeah. Dusty's gonna walk up to Ruz and be like, how you doing? That must have been kinda scary.
Ruz is looking at a small shiny pearl in their hand.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
and is tearing up.
Dusty's gonna give Ruz a hug. I don't know what's going on, but you seem like you need one of these.
Ruz returns the hug but there's it's less of a like listless kind of like response and more of like there's enthusiasm now.
Oh, did
And
somebody?
a lot more life.
Oh, okay. So how you doing? I understand that situation must have been really, really traumatic.
Yes, but
Yeah. Uh,
I'm better now. Much
yeah,
better.
yeah. You better now? Are you sure?
Nuts.
All right. I mean, go for it. But just know we got your back. And just gives them a pat on the back.
So say,
Uh,
just to
It
give
makes you
context
feel.
to, because this moment might have been something you would have noticed and might have come up in this roleplay. Ruz also did shun healing from Barbus immediately after.
Like, denied it.
Yeah, like Barbus went to heal and like brush Barbus off.
It was cure wounds, so it was
yes, it was a touch
touch.
spell.
Yes. Not saying it needs to come up. Just saying that might be something that informs roleplay if you wanted it to.
That's a.
Because that was not insignificant moment of the last session.
Yeah, no, that's fair actually. As much as I want to be like Ruz is doing so much better that they can accept hugs, that I might have to backtrack on that.
Okay.
Well,
no worries.
I was saying that more for Alex, and like
Yeah,
it's
just so I
Ruz
have
might be
context.
better enough that they can accept a hug from Dustu, someone who is familiar. I more meant like it might be that might have stood out to Dustu as unusual behavior and why he is thinking to check up if he wants to push the issue.
By the way, Ruz, I'd do it 1,000,000 times over.
Ruz tilts the head.
You'd hug
Risk
from
my.
1,000,000
In
times
other
over?
words, risk my keister to save yours. No worries.
Ruz looks very confused.
What?
Of course you would, as I would do for you. Was this in question?
I don't know. I mean, not for me. I assumed you would. I'm just letting you know that I would.
That does bring up a point, though. Thank you for that.
Anytime.
I know, but all the same, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, hey, think about it. That'd be a pretty bad way to go. I don't want that for my buddy.
As you say, that would be a pretty bad way to go. Ruz's the smile kind of like dims a little.
But hey, you're here.
Can I ask a favor of you, real quickly?
Sure.
Can you cast light on this pearl for me, real quick?
Sure. Just touch the pearl and cast light on it.
All right. Ruz then starts to look for the bright gem that was used earlier, because Ruz needs to get that back to
The gem of
Kettle.
brightness?
Yep.
That you still had on your person. It was the rock that Dustu had cast light on that got kicked down.
Oh, you're right. Never
Yeah.
mind. You're right.
Yeah, that you didn't lose that.
Holy shit, that would have been so cute though.
But you do still have that if you want to give it back to Kettle.
So we didn't.
Oh yeah.
We didn't take like a long rest or anything, right? We're just
Not
like,
yet.
exploring. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if we take a short rest, I can do Song of Rest right now.
Yeah, you can do this.
You want-
You
I
also
mean,
you're getting to the point where it's close towards. At this point, 6 hours have gone by. It is maybe in the territory where you guys may decide to bed down for the night here. It seems relatively safe. There is a bunkhouse that has some lodgings you could sleep at.
Okay.
It's up to you if you want to check on Barbus and see if he wants to rest for the night. Also, unrelated to roleplay, I think Kettle is the only one that still needs to roll HP.
Oh fuck. Sorry, I swore.
You leveled up. Oh, good.
That's fine.
Demonetization. I
wasn't the
forgot to
first
how to do that.
Was that?
You click on your
Yeah.
character sheet. You go to core. You click the thing that says hit dice.
In my defense, I just got off a 10-hour shift.
Yeah, no, that's what I was reminding
no,
you.
you're good. You're
No
no worries.
You're fine.
I'm sure Vicky can help you with the other level up stuff if you need help right now.
This one? Yeah. How many? One.
Re-roll that because that was a nat 1, and we re-roll nat 1s on hit dice.
I'm sorry.
It's
5.
fine.
You're a
fine.
Circle of the Moon Druid. You have all the HP you need.
This you're already OP.
This is true, though.
Yeah. Circle of the Moon Druid.
I can just turn into a creature that has better HP than I do.
Which, notably,
Yeah.
you do actually gain a couple of new forms now. As you're, I've added the key ones as character sheets. I'll give you access to those now.
I'm saying when Dustu hits a level 7, he's taking polymorph for the level 4 spell. Just saying.
It's a pretty good spell.
Yeah, I can
It's-
transform into a giant ape, level 7.
Or
Those things are kind of crazy.
Or transfer an enemy into a small goat.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Goats are terrifying.
I love goats.
We're allergic to them, and it would still be bigger than Aroma.
I'm allergic to most things. Where do you think Kettle got it? She got it from her mom.
Oh, I love goats IRL, but I don't want to fight a goat.
Oh no, I would die.
Nah, I think what ends up happening is usually when people are polymorph, they're like, they get the stats of it too, so they probably just look at us and run.
Druids are the only one that get to keep their mental stats when they transform.
Yeah.
So your big new forms are you can be a giant constrictor snake, a hunter shark, or on land you can be a giant boar or a giant elk. Those are like the major good ones that you've unlocked. There's some others that I haven't.
Giant elk, and someone can ride me into battle.
Yeah, you can do that.
Raz, get on my back.
If you guys are resting at the 6-hour mark, do you want to interrupt Barbus's meditation to see if he wants to rest, or are you going to let him go?
Dustu votes for letting him go.
I vote letting him go. If this is something to do with gods,
Okay.
maybe we don't try and interfere.
So Barbus.
I don't want to ruin his mojo.
God.
Barbus, it is the 6-hour mark. At this point, you've put to rest the idea of what happens if I fail here. You're comfortable with the idea of failing now, with those words resonating in your mind, but you're still having trouble making that connection. And you're thinking about the words he said of like, well, is Zalmesh the god for you? Like, you certainly followed him at a young age because of your family. And you believe in that, but how much of that was your decision? You start to think. You're mulling over these ideas of what your faith means to you. How's Barbus feeling right now? Quentin, you're muted.
Sorry, my chair makes a lot of noise. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So he is confused. He's questioning himself, but that's something he's been doing forever. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can commune with the god of this holy symbol I have.
Oh, of the unknown one?
Yes.
Roll me a wisdom check with disadvantage. This is not part of your... Actually, make this an insight. This is not part of your check of communing. This is a separate thing.
Okay.
Insight check with disadvantage.
Okay. 7.
You're looking at this and thumbing the holy symbol, and you do realize as you are looking at it, it is not present on this, which does make sense to you. It's not present on the well, which does make sense to you because Edgar didn't know what it was, and you feel like if it was on the well, he probably would have known what it was because he seems to know a lot about here. It would be unusual for him not to. So whatever it is very old. And it's weird, like you feel like you want to try to like reach out and connect to this thing, but you don't know the name of it. You don't know what it represents. You don't know if this god is still alive or if it somehow died. You don't know if it really was a god. It could have just been a cult that sprung up around some non-divine power. And those thoughts are buzzing around your head. Does Barbus try to reach out for anything besides just this god? Does he feel he needs to reach out for guidance here?
Yes.
What
He's still confused.
What is he reaching for at this moment?
Direction.
In direction, in what relation? In relation to what divine patron he should be worshiping, in direction in regards to this symbol itself? What is the thing? What is the nature of the direction he's looking for?
If he was to choose, because he knows there's some connection to the thoughts he has with this thing, he's going to try and get some information, something to point him in the right direction to this symbol.
So he's reaching out for someone that this symbol has meaning to.
Yes.
All right. We will pan away for a moment from Barbus and his meditation to the other side of this liminal space, the opposite plane. Flying through this swirling vortex of energetic winds and rain and lightning striking, whoosh, whoosh, there is an Aarakocra man who's flying through this, pursued by a tiefling riding a wyvern. The tiefling has a spear in his hand and hurls it forward at the Aarakocra, who rolls to dodge out of the way. As he does, the wyvern the tiefling is on swoops down to kind of clutch the Aarakocra in its roll, and then the Aarakocra disappears and appears again behind the tiefling and fires 3 blasts of energy which impact with the back of the tiefling, hurling them off this mount. As they plummet, they immediately land in just kind of a soft kind of water at the bottom. The storm immediately dissipates. Corvus.
Yes.
As you knock your sparring partner off their mount and kind of land next to them, they kind of dust themselves off. Well, a good show as always. Yeah, you're going to have to show me how you did that one day. I can never focus on the spells and the flying at the same time. I lose track of one or the other. I've got a lot of work to do. You're an impressive one.
It's a skill that takes quite a bit of time and practice, but it can be mastered.
Well, I've got all the time in the world to practice.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably, as you guys are kind of striking up a conversation, a bit of a light flashes kind of slightly off to the distance. You look over, you see a man a very tall man, about 10 feet tall, in heavy black plate mail armor with 2 black feathered wings that sprout out from behind their back, and a great sword. This is a sword archon. They are servants to an extent of divinity. This one would be a sword archon of Zeril. Corvus. Lady sends for you.
Oh. Well, duty calls. And he will go ahead and leave his partner. I assume this is kind of a guide?
To an extent.
Yeah.
He essentially the Sword Archons. They're not angels necessarily. They're usually souls that passed on and then achieved greatness in the afterlife. Not necessarily heroes or champions that died and served this post. But people who have taken up a position of service post their death, and have kind of ascended the ranks. And they now serve. This one serves Zeril specifically. There are archons that serve other divine patrons, but they're often used for sending messages between the different divines. Notably, sword archons. Anytime a resurrection spell is cast, they are the ones that bring the soul back to the plane and back to the body. That is their responsibility. Of basically, when a cleric is contacting the other plane to bring a soul back, sword archons are the one that do that. And they tend to be the go-between between gods and a lot of their clerics in that regard. You walk over to him. Notably, you've dealt with sword archons before. They've never called for your service before.
Okay. So this is
new.
This is peculiar.
It's definitely highly unusual.
He's gonna stay alert. Suspicion.
It's also notably you didn't serve Zeril in life either.
Yes.
And while like this is her realm and she does commune with everybody, regardless of faith, it feels unusual for you to be called on to a god you hadn't served at any point.
Mm-hmm.
You approach him. He's
Yeah.
standing there with his great sword kind of holstered at his side.
What does the lady want with me?
There's a soul still living in need of some guidance. She felt you were particularly equipped for this one.
Interesting. Very well.
I won't lie, I find it a bit unusual myself. Even in the space that they're in, it's not often that the mistress takes such a keen interest in one that's not her follower.
Oh. So I'm working with someone that's not her own?
I believe he serves Zalmesh. I don't know the exact details beyond that. Divinity can be secretive with many things. Before you head down, a couple of ground rules. You're only allowed to speak on things you knew in life. You cannot give them any secrets you've learned hence.
Okay. Very well. I understand.
The lady has also requested you don't speak directly about the Braz, since his status is currently unknown. Whatever guidance they need, you can give, but don't talk too heavily on them. Talk about them in the vague sense if you have to.
Very well. He doesn't feel comfortable with that, but he's going to agree to it regardless.
So you do know, you served the Thunderhawk in life. Or at least you weren't necessarily a cleric, but you were devoted to them.
Yes.
And you were very interested in their status when you passed on. You did know what they were doing during the war, but at a certain point during the war, towards the end, all the other gods lost track of them. And they don't know where they went, and no one's been able to reach out, hear from them, or feel their presence since. Some of the gods think that they might have been the last casualty of the war and might be dead. Some of them think they might have either gone into hiding to be able to plot something or plan a counterattack once they knew the war was going to go the way it was. Some of them think that they didn't want to pass on the same way the other gods did into the divine realms, so they created their own realm to go off into. nobody's really sure. Not even Zeril knows what happened to Braz. And they're all a little bit anxious about it. Which is, they're anxious, which tells you they must be really anxious because they're gods. And for the fact that you know that the gods are anxious means something's really wrong about it. So it does not strike you as unusual that they don't want it talked about, as it is a upheaval in the realms of divinity that could cause a lot of major problems if it was widely known on Earth.
Sure.
Or on Titan, rather. As you do, you take his hand and you guys... Barbus, as you close your eyes once again and open them back up, you see in front of you an Aarakocra. Corvus, you are once again on this liminal space. You've not been here before, but you can feel the connection between the world of the living and the world of the dead here, as you see this elven gentleman in front of you.
It's gonna be weird. I'm role-playing with myself right now.
Yeah. Also,
Horrible
stay...
fate.
For the nature of how this happens, when you arrive, you state name, position in life, and how you died.
I am Corvus, the sundered sky. I was a warrior in my time, and I sacrificed myself so that others may live. Can I talk about the Titans War?
Yeah, you can talk about the war. You get the feeling you can't mention the Thunderhawk, and you can't mention things you've learned since dying. But anything else that the character knew during the course of when you were playing them is fair game.
Thankfully, I don't know much of what happened after Corvus died, so that's gonna work out brilliantly. I served in the Titans War as a protector.
You may also ask me for clarification if there's anything you've forgotten since you played the character, because it has been a while.
It has, and unfortunately I've kind of lost the accent.
Hey, I wasn't going to do Corvus, but you mentioned it the other day. And I was like, oh, this will be fun to mess with him. This was your idea.
It actually was my idea. I didn't think it was going to happen.
I listen to my players. When you say you want something to happen, I make it happen.
So Barbus will kind of be intrigued because he's heard this name before.
You have. Interestingly, actually, because you heard this during the interviews too, your new Aarakocra guard is supposedly a distant descendant of this person. Well, not directly a distant descendant of this person's brother.
I wasn't expecting to hear a name I'm familiar with today. Very well. Corvus. I am lost. At the time right now, I am attempting to become a Krsnik.
Corvus has no idea what that is.
Yep, he's confused.
Hasn't even learned about that while he was dead.
I seek a God's favor in my process. But Zalmesh does not answer me. And I have a deep connection. Some sort of connection to a holy symbol I don't recognize, and it's something I feel like I need to learn.
You show Corvus the holy symbol?
Yes. And of
Corv-
course, he recognizes it.
Yes, Corvus, you are aware of this holy symbol. It was not commonly worn even by the followers of this individual. Um, it was a handful of people that really wanted to show their devotion. But interestingly, prior to the war, this god was one of the most personable. And they didn't necessarily rule from a lofty state. They'd approach individual towns and speak to people on a one-on-one basis. They were very approachable, so they weren't worshipped the same way the other gods were. It wasn't until the war happened that people started worshiping them as a god and using this symbol.
Because this is the symbol
This
of
is
the.
the symbol of Bras.
Yeah. Well, yes. But is this more so a symbol of change or battle?
So this one is a delta made out of a sword, an axe, and a hammer. At one point, it was a symbol of change, and it was just a delta symbol. During the war, when it really kind of made the resurgence, it became a symbol of battle. As kind of the original context of that entity was somewhat lost in the fervor.
Yeah.
And that was happening even before the Titans War. As smaller scale wars were breaking out, and they were being adopted as a god of battle and war, rather than just a god of change.
Now, I believe I've kind of dug myself into a hole here because Corvus can't really talk about him.
You can't talk about them directly. You cannot
Oh.
tell them the name or the exact nature of them, but you can give some clarity of, yes, I know this god. I don't know where they are now, and like that sort of thing.
Okay.
As long as you're talking in like the vague sense of it, you can.
Yeah. Don't mention names. Don't mention their exact nature.
Yeah. Don't mention exact like deeds and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um
Nothing specific.
yes.
But
the vague, you can give like the vagues of like, yeah, they were a god, they weren't a bad god necessarily, or like they were a god I followed, that kind of stuff.
okay, so he can't mention that he was a follower then.
Yeah, you can mention that you were a follower.
Oh, he can. Oh, okay. No,
Yes.
that's what I'm gonna do. What you have there is a symbol of a god that I followed. Uh, they were honorable. But I don't know of their current presence.
I will also say for Corvus, Barbus doesn't see this, but the Archon is standing right behind you.
Yeah, he's gonna follow the rules here. He's not gonna go purposely out of his way to fuck things up. Corvus is an honorable man. He died an honorable man, and he's going to be dead an honorable man.
I believe he died an honorable bird, but okay.
Bird man. I don't believe they're going to be able to help you right in their current nature.
I think the only one that might not have died honorably was Maeve's character, who died of old age. It's debatable what she got up to in her later life.
I mean, what they did in that battle, though, was honorable.
You did technically raise a future head of state. But back to the current conversation.
Yes. And Very well. Do you know why I even have any sort of connection to this?
Corvus, roll an Arcana check.
Okay. Flat 0 for Corvus. Oh, and that 20!
I'll say, Corvus is not sure if they should mention this or not. They're not sure if this is breaching the grounds of what's acceptable. So you may need to put some vagary around it to push them in the right direction without stating it directly.
Okay.
But you are aware, you're aware of a class of creatures, of mortals. You've actually met one before. One that is currently considered divinity. Rayleigh. A class of creatures that basically... Actually, you've met two before, technically, and one did not fully realize their potential. One died early. That essentially... The essential concepts of reality latch themselves on to mortal bodies when they become powerful enough. Things like the idea and essence of nature itself. Concepts like visions and twisting fate, in the case of Rayleigh, latched onto her. And when it latches onto these individuals, it gives them great power that they can realize over the course of their lives and much longer longevity. And at least in one case that you're aware of, led to that individual achieving divinity. You don't necessarily know if that's where it always goes, or if it's the natural process for gods to become divinity to begin with. It could just be something one-off that happened. You also don't know what happens when a god is no longer filling that position anymore. What happens to that essence? But you are aware of that nature of things, of these concepts latching onto mortal bodies. Now, notably, you learned this after your death. And given their connection with the symbol, if it really is connected to Braz, if that's the case, that might mean Braz is dead. And if that's the case, you feel like you shouldn't mention the full knowledge of that, as that could cause the panic that you sense the gods are trying to avoid.
Yeah.
So you are aware of this, but you don't know how much you can actually tell him.
I have to think about how to word this then. Because again, he doesn't want to give any information he shouldn't.
And
He has no reason to.
Also one of these things of like, as Corvus makes that connection, they're also realizing like that might give me some insight into what's going on with the person I used to follow. And that does not seem to imply good news.
Yeah, he's this next sentence is going to be a little hard for him to say. Hearing that, and with his understanding of it,
I wasn't gonna give you any of that stuff, but you rolled a goddamn nat 20.
Yeah.
It was a high DC, and that's pretty much the only number Corvus could have rolled to get that.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. In my life, I have met one similar to you.
Two.
The connection you have.
You met two. Ashana and Rayleigh were both Kalishtar.
Oh yes. I met a couple like you. But the connection you have, it can lead you down a righteous path. We shouldn't let it go. But I don't think your time is right just yet. And I'm gonna go ahead and roll insight on Corvus. I don't know. I don't know what to roll for him though.
Well, so he's trying to be duplicitous, but he's trying to
Yes.
be duplicitous in a way that gets the message across.
Yes.
Basically, he's trying to give you the essence of what he's trying to say without directly stating it. So I would say this is a persuasion, not a deception.
Okay. So persuasion for Corvus. Oh, 26. I actually can't beat that. I'm gonna roll it anyway.
Well, so this is not you're trying to beat it. This is you when it's a persuasion versus insight, you guys are trying to add up to a number.
Gotcha.
Basically, because you're both working towards it.
Okay.
Rather than deception of trying to beat. I'll say with a 26 and a 22, you get a pretty good bead on what he's saying. You don't get the concrete details of it, obviously, but you do get the sense that he's basically confirming that this connection that you're expressing is a tangible, real thing. It's not in your head. This does mean something. But he's also saying this is going to take time to nurture, and this might not be the right moment for it right this second.
Yes. Very well. Thank you, Corvus.
As
I
you
think that's all I need from him, actually.
close your eyes, Corvus is gone once more. There is only one more spirit I have left for you to potentially guide you on this journey. But with that, roll me a wisdom check with advantage and obviously still proficiency. And then that brings you to the 9-hour mark. 25 is good.
That's a max roll, actually.
Yeah.
Another nat 20. Jeez.
Not bad. You're getting up there. Now that brings you to the 9-hour mark. Does Barbus want to take a break to rest? Or is Barbus going to stay awake to see this through?
I believe he would.
You will not suffer exhaustion doing this, but you're not getting a long rest either if you do this.
I think I'm okay with that. I'm at full health. As well as I have most of my spell slots. None of my level 3s.
Okay. At the 9-hour mark, everyone else is about 2 hours into their rest. They're gonna sleep for another 6 hours. So give me 2 more wisdom checks just right off the bat.
Okay. Advantage as well, or?
No. I'll say the advantage was from Corvus's guidance.
Yes.
So just these 2.
Okay. 2 coming up. Oof.
There's a reroll on the table if someone wants to use it. Because 7 is very low.
That's a 2.
Yeah. Wait. So you made 2 wisdom saves?
Yes.
He's doing every 3 hours. He does a wisdom save through his meditation, and he's trying to build up to a number.
Okay.
And he has 48 hours to do that.
I will let him reroll.
Okay.
I will use that reroll. Can I also give? Can I low-key give him an inspiration die? Like when I walked up to him.
You're asleep at this point, but you can do that
Okay.
later if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just re-roll the 7.
Yes.
For a 16.
It's better.
Much better.
Not bad. You're at a 99 total right now, for the record.
Oh. One shy?
I didn't say it was one shy. I just said you were at a 99 total.
I know, but I'm one shy of 100. That's
That
unfortunate.
everyone else, your rest comes to an end. None of you had any dreams or visions of the night this time. As you get up, you see Barbus is still where he was when you went to sleep. Is there anything you guys want to do?
You should wait. Hold on. I think I lagged out. I missed like a very good chunk of that.
You guys awakened from your sleep. You didn't have any visions. Barbus is still where he was when you went to sleep. Is there anything you guys want to do?
I'm gonna give Barbus an inspiration die because it looks like he's still doing his thing.
Okay. Do you want to walk over to him and role play a bit how you talk with him about things to give him the inspiration then?
He's still meditating, all right?
He's meditating, but you get the feeling you could probably get his attention now.
Okay. Dusty's gonna sit down and be like, listen, lady. This was definitely a big decision on your part. But if it makes you feel any better about your choice, Dusty's gonna just slowly puts his hand on Barbus' shoulder. He's like, just know that we all believe in you, laddie. More than you know.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. I'll say you can add that inspiration die to the next one you make for this next stretch. Even though it's sus if you could even use an inspiration die for something that takes place over the course of 3 hours, but I will allow it because it's him coming in and giving you some guidance and talking about where you are in life and trying to give you some clarity. So that's what Dusty's doing with that time. Ruz, Aroma, Kettle, you guys looking for anything else, or are you going to?
Roma still wants to look for art stuff, but also I think they want to look for anything related to Rayleigh, because there are different gods around here.
Yes, and there is a symbol to Rayleigh on the fountain.
They would like to walk over to there and just trace it.
Okay, you trace it. It's a sizable symbol, so it takes up like a full page of your notes to trace it out, unless you're just trying to like sketch what it is.
No, I'll trace it.
Okay, you get a tracing of it. You just spend some time like meditating at it, just looking around at the different areas.
Yeah, they kind of feel like they want to say hi, but they also know that this moment isn't for them or what that's about. And
I'll also say if you were specifically looking for things for Rayleigh, there are a couple of names in the book that had the list of Krsniks before that were Krsnik of Rayleigh, but they were by far the least common god listed in there.
They definitely would have kept an eye out for that. They also would have kept out an eye for any familiar names.
Yeah. None of them stand out to you. It looks like most of these names are probably long since dead.
Yeah. Not even kept on Aroma's skin.
Yeah.
So,
But I'll say in terms of like the breakdown of gods, like 98.999% of this book is just Zeril. And then of that remaining less than 2%, there's like probably like half of it is Theron, like a third is Thace, and then there's like 1% of that remaining 2% is Rayleigh, and then like 2% is Zalmesh. So they were very uncommon for this.
Okay.
Which does also make sense to you because you know they're a very uncommonly worshipped god.
Yeah. With all that, do they have time to go look for art?
Well, you've got more time after this, but because I'm kind of doing one thing for each of you guys, I'll say you spend this 3-hour section doing that, and then you can look for art after it.
Okay.
Just to avoid, blowing the whole load in one thing.
Yeah.
Kettle, Rose, anything you guys are doing?
Oh, go ahead.
I honestly don't know.
You can just say you're milling about, messing around, maybe looking over like some spells, thinking of some spells that you want to do. Because you guys, this is also the course of you guys figuring out your level up. So your characters are going about thinking about their abilities, realizing like new potentials they can release. So you don't have to have anything specific you want to be doing.
Probably imagining Ruz riding her into battle as an elk then.
The imagery is amazing.
Also, do remember you get new spells you can pick now too.
Oh yeah, I forget I can do things other than just wild shape and throw rocks.
Yeah, definitely pull up the page for druids so you can look at the specific new things you get. You get at least one new spell slot, I believe. Just from being a level, or one new spell that you can have prepared, rather.
Okay.
But there might be other abilities that you get besides just the new beast shape stuff.
All right, I'll look at that when I'm not exhausted.
Yeah, that's fine.
There is one thing I do want to do, and that is give Kato the super shiny rock.
Okay. You approach Kettle, who's just kind of vaguely looking off at like the trees, but not the trees beneath here, but not getting too close for fear they might be allergic to them.
That sounds too careful for Cuddle.
Okay, you see Kettle just rubbing her back on these trees. Notably, does not seem to be triggering any allergic reactions.
That's interesting.
You are in a strange plane that has strange laws.
Interesting.
So, Rose, you approach Kettle. Do you just give him the rock, or did you want to roleplay that?
Rose kind of gets Keto's attention as they are trying to provoke a allergic reaction, and kind of hands back the shiny stone.
Ooh, that is where that went. Kettle honestly forgot.
You loaned that to me, and I appreciate it.
Time. Kettle honestly forgot that she gave it to you to borrow.
Well,
It was like 15 hours ago.
Note to self: keep an eye on Keto and determine if they suffer from a short-term memory loss.
You haven't figured that out yet?
Is it
It's never
memory
quite
loss
occurred.
if you never encode the memory to begin with? Kettle's just in a permanent state of blacking out.
Okay. To be fair, I think it kind of works with Kettle's backstory, though.
Yeah. Trauma will do some crazy things.
Yeah.
You guys have that moment of wondering if Kettle's brain is okay. Barbus, you have been up for 15 minutes at this point. How is Barbus feeling?
Well, here's the thing. Tired.
Notably, like you're somewhat aware of how long you've been up. Not in the exact number of hours, but you're not feeling sleepy per se. That same level of exhaustion from the fight you had before, and like taking the damage, that's still there. Like you're not rested at all. But you're not getting tired from lack of sleep while you're here,
Interesting.
or at least while you're meditating.
Okay. He's probably pretty mentally drained, but he is a very hard worker.
How are you going about this next leg of meditation?
So he's essentially, from what I'm understanding, being told Zalmesh probably isn't available right now.
Well, you were more being told before. Zal, you don't know if you've been even doing this long enough to have gotten in contact with Zalmesh, but you've essentially been told, hey, if Zalmesh doesn't work, it might be because Zalmesh sees another path or thinks another god is better able to help you here.
Yeah.
Or it might be you've not taken enough time. It was more like a message of like, hey, keep going with Zalmesh if that's what you're feeling, but also be open-minded that you don't just need to take assistance from one source. If you feel like you've been blockaded into that. And also, they did say before that, like, hey, Zalmesh has done this before, and there's no reason they won't do it again.
Yeah.
It was more just like a warning of like, hey, this is your choice of where you want to go with this and who you want assistance from.
You got options.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just need to be the religion you've known your whole life. The gods do not hold grudges with each other over that sort of thing.
Okay.
So they're not the Greek pantheon.
Nope.
Good.
They're like the Greek pantheon in the fact that they are all consider themselves one big family and somewhat related. They're not like the Greek pantheon in that they're all chill.
Oh, we like chill.
They're a functional family.
Because I'm curious if the reasons behind Barbus accepting this boon even line up with the same reasons Zalmesh would give out the assistance.
Okay.
He more so wants to use this power as not really a weapon, but a tool. A tool for lack of a better word, change.
So you basically want to use this new power in a way to make sure the world keeps moving forward.
Yes.
Okay. Roll me a wisdom check with advantage, and you may add I think, is it a D6 or a D8 at your level, Alex?
Yes.
Is your inspiration a D6 or a D8?
It is a D8.
Okay. So advantage plus a D8.
Can I make another little suggestion? If it's okay, of course. Guidance?
Sure. Also, you can't necessarily use guidance for this on yourself.
Fair.
Yeah, I figured as much, which is why I haven't been doing
He's
it.
already got advantage at a D8. I think that's pretty good odds.
It's pretty good. I feel like I'm being handed this.
Roll that D8.
3.
Get above a 30. Let's go.
Oh.
Still not bad.
25.
Dirty 25 is good.
As you spend the next 3 hours kind of meditating over this thought, as you kind of go back to your roots of your religion when you were growing up and learning about Zalmesh from your father, and like what he represents and what he favors and means, and you realize that while you've been thinking that your motivation for this is separate from Zalmesh's, and you think over what Zalmesh really represents, you realize they might not be that different. Because invention, while specialized, is an instrument of change. And they say necessity is the mother of all invention. And that is true. When something is needed, people feel the need to create something to fill that need. But also, those needs arise because society is moving forward, and they, in some cases, help society move forward as well. But if something stagnates, much like undeath and those who seek undeath, like vampires, to prolong their life, they are not seeking to invent something or to create a new magic. They're not doing this because they're pioneers in anything. They're doing this because they want things to stay the same. They want the world to stay in a position where they are in it. And that can only stifle invention and creativity. And as you think of that, you realize your motivation, while you thought it was different, may not have been different at all this entire time. Everyone else, anyone want to be doing something specific, or should we move on to the next leg? There are still more buildings for you guys to check out if you want.
Yeah, I think just we'll check out another building.
All right, what are you looking for?
Maybe some like very ancient artifacts, something along those lines.
Okay, so like, are you looking for like from a historical basis or from a utilitarian? Like, are you looking for something like, oh, this is where they kept things of historical significance, or are you looking for like, this is where they kept things that they were going to use?
Things that they were going to use.
All right, roll me an investigation.
All right.
Okay.
It's not the worst.
You pretty quickly find a. First of all, you realize that any artifacts of major power you've probably already found, because they were probably things that were not kept in a vault. They were probably more things kept on people of importance. And the ones you found, probably all the ones you're going to find, because the ones you haven't found were probably taken after the battle.
Yeah.
But you do find a building that seems to be some sort of alchemical / spell scroll storage room, where there are alchemical supplies, some potions here and there. I will say things you find here: 2 bottles of holy water, 2 vials of holy oil that can be used to treat weapons. Also note that they are blessed by Zeril specifically, because that is important.
Hold on. So holy water.
Yeah, holy water, Zeril, holy oil, Zeril, 2 of each. A buttload of incense, like up to 1,000 in gold worth of incense, if you want to take it. But that is a lot of weight, so
No.
Up to how much, your discretion of how much gold worth of incense you want to take.
Nah.
3 lesser healing potions,
Oh.
1 greater healing potion, 2 scrolls of remove curse,
Okay,
and 1 scroll of banishment.
Okay, well. So just lesser healing potion is just a potion of healing. So you said I had
Yes.
2.
2 of those.
Okay, okay.
And 1 greater.
Then, okay, and then. Okay. Okay, and then what else? I'm sorry.
2 scrolls of remove curse and 1 scroll of banishment. Things that, make sense for demon / undead fighters.
Yeah, and then you said 1 scroll of banishment.
Yeah. Now, I believe Aroma wanted to look for art, correct?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yes, I also want to.
Okay. Roll an investigation check with advantage because Rez is helping. Whichever one of you wants to do it.
I'll wait. Or I should, but I already did it.
You
It's
can
too
do
late.
separate
You rolled a
rolls too.
17.
Well, we'll say
Yeah.
that was a 14 and Rez can make a roll of their own.
Oh,
Put those scrolls in my scroll case. I have that.
Yeah. 14 is pretty
Watch
good.
as it's worse.
It is.
No, you should have taken your
So,
advantage then.
I was actually thinking it made more sense for Aroma to roll with advantage, honestly, but
you guys
this
do
is fine.
find a building that would seem to be maybe it could be a recreation hall, it could be a meeting hall, a kind of general building that doesn't seem to have necessarily a defined, a specific utilitarian purpose beyond existing in. And there are paintings on the walls with little plaques underneath them. One first painting you see is a tabaxi man with a calico coat. And next to him is a high elven man wearing kind of like long black robes. And they are definitely like, they're painted in a way that makes you think they definitely were a couple. Like that doesn't seem to be what these paintings all are, but you get the feeling these two specifically were a couple. And the plaque underneath it says it is Walton Swiftpaw and Dolphin Emerald Eye after slaying the Revenant of Blackwell.
Dolphin Emerald Eye?
Dolphin. Dalthun.
Oh. Okay. And what was the rest of it after that? Sorry.
Emerald Eye. And then script after that, after slaying the Revenant of Blackwell. Next to that, you see a much younger Marshall Blackdrake. And you can tell because it says on the placard, Marshall Blackdrake. After slaying the Nightwalker of the Emerald Pass. Next to him, you see a younger woman, pale skin, short brown hair, leather armor, sword at her side, is labeled Maria Blackdrake after slaying the Lich of the Chroma Woods. Which those are the first three that stand out to you. There's more than just these. And in a very significant place of eminence, you see a painting labeled Sation and Eleanor Blackdrake after slaying the Grand Count Valdric. It seems to be the oldest painting here. Notably, while they both look like they were tall and imposing individuals, Sation is fucking crazy tall. He is almost twice the height of his wife. And you don't get the impression, based on like the stuff around her, you don't get the impression she was short either. He's just really big. Sation is a man with long black hair that kind of falls, long black straight hair that falls down, kind of almost merging in with his cape. Pale skin, kind of grizzled, kind of unkempt 5 o'clock shadow, but like a little bit more than that, and gleaming purple eyes. And he's wearing this heavy black mail plate armor. And next to him is a woman, her hair done up in a tight bun. She's definitely has a very much like, I am here to get shit done kind of air about her. She's wearing a very nice kind of well-dressed shirt, deep purples. She's actually notably, the ring that you guys found is on her finger. So you know that one ring was hers, not his. And there's a rapier at her side that you recognize as the one that Rez was. She's a little darker skinned than her husband, and with a very light kind of almost golden brown eyes. And she does kind of the peeking of a little tattoo beneath the collar that you can't quite get a good look of. They are both, for one, very attractive individuals, and also very intimidating. It's strange with how tall he is. She looks significantly, just her energy makes her seem like the scary one there. like he takes up a lot of space just with his size, but her personality is definitely putting in more work than his is, just in the air about them in these poses. And those are the significant paintings you find.
Okay.
Now,
nothing of let's see, where's wife just Catherine or
that doesn't seem to be. It seems like those paintings were probably kept back up in the mansion.
yeah.
Um,
Or of the sister.
the sister, there was one that was Maria Blackdrake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that would seem to be her.
Okay.
Now, because it's getting a little late here, so as long as it's fine with everyone else, I want to power through Barbus's stuff and get that done.
Real quickly though, could I possibly fit the painting of Maria Blackdrake in the bag of holding? I know it's a lot.
Like you kind of filled up the bag of holding with some books, but you can take books out to fit the stuff in.
Oh no.
I'll say
Rose
whatever.
spends the rest
Would
of
it
the time
easier if we
figuring that out.
cut the painting out and rolled it up?
Yeah, you don't need to take the frame. You do need to because there's enough books that you filled the bag of holding completely and still didn't have space for the rest of the books. It was an extensive library, so just whatever you're putting in, you're taking out a couple of books for. But yeah, I'll say you can do that fine.
Awesome.
So, Barbus.
Yes.
You're coming up on this is hour 18. You're going to be going into, next is going to be hour 21, coming to the close of the first day of this meditation. Where's Barbus's head at?
I think at this point, he knows where he has to do. He's determined. Because he knows that his motivations and Zalmesh's align, he's determined that he will, if not immediately, contact him.
All right. Give me 2 wisdom checks for the next 6 hours.
Okay. 13, 21.
You spent a good amount of time. At this point, it's been a full day since you started this. Notably, the moon never moves. It's in that position at all times. You feel yourself kind of attuning, and you feel yourself kind of getting in the right headspace now of connecting with Zalmesh and what that means. And you realize as you're kind of getting in that headspace, you're kind of trying to connect back with your roots of childhood and family, of where you first started hearing about Zalmesh and first started following, and how severed you are from that now. How long it's been since you've been home, since you've seen your parents, how much time you spent in Bright Hall. You didn't even stop when you went by there on the way back. And you realize, to a certain extent, you miss home. And you just feel so disconnected from where your personal journey as a person began. Does Barbus want to try to reach out one last time?
Yes.
What exactly is Barbus reaching for?
Um, something connected to his origin.
Something connected to home.
Yes.
Start thinking about home, your family, your dad, all these things that formed who you are now, these essential aspects of your history that have been so distant as of late. You close your eyes and open them again, and you see a wood elven man. Rich, kind of amber skin, bright green eyes, kind of like that, kind of like halfway between, like, it's definitely more brown than blonde, but like kind of light brown hair, tied back into a ponytail, and heavy plate mail armor, and a symbol of Zeril, actually, kind of adorned, hung by his chest plate. As you open your eyes and look at him, my name is Galter Ashwillow. I was a paladin of Zeril in life. I died defending my wife and son from an assault by an archmage who invaded our home. How can I help you?
I don't know.
Surely there is something you needed. Why else would you have called me here?
I was thinking of home.
Kind of
I wasn't
shifts a
thinking
little
of
bit.
anyone specific. I'm just confused why that's you.
I'm confused as well. Tell me of your home.
Well, I'm from Sprinlocks.
Apologies, I died some 30 years ago and I had not the opportunity to go myself.
Yeah. And from Sprinlocks, I was raised there. Possibly not originally from there, but
Perhaps I should tell you some of my story? That might provide some clarity.
very
Maybe
well,
there's something you know of me that I don't know of you.
possibly.
I was a paladin of Zeril in Solvale some 30 years back. I served the royal family for a time as a close guard to their highnesses. And my partner, Rel Ashwidow, she was a powerful court mage who worked for them as well. Some time into our service, we decided we were ready to settle down. We retired from the service and prepared to have a family. My son was young when I passed away, so I'm afraid I do not. I don't know what became of him since then, but when he was very young, a mage by the name of Lothal Shattercrown, a high elven individual, took an interest in my family and my son specifically. He said he had great potential that he saw in him and asked me and my wife to allow him to tutor the young boy, but he was still but a child. He hadn't even spoken his first words yet. We refused, and a few days after that, He assaulted our home. I stayed to hold him off, him and his cohorts, while my wife began the process of a teleportation spell to get her and my son out of there. She was better equipped to hide from such dangers than I was and more knowledgeable. I fell in battle, and I don't know what became of them after that. Does that provide any clarity? This was...
I believe it does.
It would have been the 15th of Kellius that was when I passed away. A little over 30 years back.
Whispers and checks notes. I think that does put some clarity into things. That's the day I was found.
Kind of raises his eyebrows. They were found.
I was adopted in Sprinlocks, not my true home. I was raised there by a dwarven family.
How old were you when it happened? Do you know?
I do not.
Looks troubled for a bit. You were found by yourself.
Yes.
I've been dead for some time, and Rel has not joined me on the other side. I expected she was still alive and with my child, caring for him. With our child, I should say. But if this is the case, it would seem to imply that you are my son. And that your mother did not make the journey with you.
That certainly seems the case.
What did you say your name was?
Barbus.
Yeah, sniffles a little bit. How did you grow up, Barbus?
Well, the companions I've met have really put in perspective how well I've had it off.
Your father and mother cared for you?
Greatly.
This is all I could ask for.
He's gonna start getting a little teary-eyed.
It's good to see you grown. But the question still remains. Why did you ask me here? What are you involved in that you need my help?
I've accepted the boon of becoming what's known as a Krsnik.
I'm familiar, but only in a vague sense.
It's essentially a vampire of vampires. It requires the boon of a god.
And that is where you find yourself now? Trying
Yes.
to beseech and kind of notes your holy symbol. Zalmesh for their aid?
Yes.
And so you find yourself lost in this journey. You need
Lost.
direction or reassurance? Or just perhaps you just need to remember where the journey began.
Perhaps that's all I need.
Get gestures. Well, why don't you tell me about it? I'll say, if you would like, you can spend the next however many hours you want telling your deceased father about how you've grown up since his passing.
It's gonna be a while.
I'll say, give me the next 3 checks with advantage. It's not bad. So I got to keep track of like how many hours it's been too. So I'm
Yes.
noting a lot of things. So it'll be one moment.
Also, I'm definitely gonna need you to send me the names again, and I'm gonna put them in my notes.
Of your
So-
yeah, I'll send probably in the morning tomorrow. I'll just send you like the list of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I have, if you want it, I think I have somewhere. I can't find where it is in my notes right now, but what Barbus's birth name was, if that's something they want.
I don't know.
But I will tell you, at the very least, their last name was Ash Willow.
Yeah.
So I will say, for the sake of expediency, looking at the average rolls you are getting here, how much further you need to do. Give me one more roll.
Okay.
You know what? I had a birthday recently. I'm gonna use my reroll to make you reroll that.
Yay!
Ugh.
That'd be enough though. So it takes you, with that 10, it takes you up until about you're in the 48th hour. And you feel yourself. Everyone else is aware it's been 48. It's been about 48 hours since then, and they know the timeline. And you're all probably looking around a little anxiously, knowing that the time is almost up. But Barbus, you are entirely lost in yourself during this time. You conclude the conversation with your father, feeling weirdly satisfied in the knowledge that you had not just one but 2 great dads that you look up to and respect. And he told you a little bit of his life and his time as in the service, and things that he tried to do during his life, and knowing like the instability between the rivalry between the High Elves and their impatience with the Wood Elven court, and how people were stoking those flames and stuff like that, and his history and where he's from. And around the 48th hour mark of when you're just completely lost in yourself during this time, I lost that page of my notes. Give me a second. You begin to feel that connection fomenting and building. And you feel in your mind, speaking in your voice, but with many others alongside of it. As if this knowledge is coming from within yourself of knowing what this oath means, but also from the knowledge and experience of many others who have come down this path. The oath realizes itself in your mind. Will you stand as an example to inspire others who lack a path? How does Barbus respond?
I will.
Will you strike to change the old into something new?
I shall.
Will you ride to spread your knowledge to new and untold lands, so that new minds may build on what you've created?
It will be done.
And as you speak those last words resonating in your chest, you open your eyes and you see from the hands of the statue of Zeril on the platform these little holes that you didn't hardly notice before in her palms. A crimson liquid begins gushing forth and filling the fountain. And I believe Barbus knows what he has to do next.
Yes.
Take a cup from your side, dip it into the well that is filling, and take a big. It's not thick like blood is. It almost looks more like wine, but it's this very deep crimson. You can take a drink from the cup. Unlike before, when you tasted Edgar's blood, it's not sweet. It's not savory. It's not pleasant. It's bitter and hearty. It's not necessarily disgusting or retching, but it's not an enjoyable feeling, nor is it unenjoyable. It feels like something that's nourishing and necessary. And as you drink, and all of you see Barbus just stand up, swig from the now spewing fountain you see, you complete your transition into a Krsnik. And that is where we will end for the night.
Oh.
For the record, at hour 33, you are at 224. The number you needed to reach was 300. So to save time, given what your average rolls were, I knew you were going to hit that, and it was going to take you towards the end of that. So I just averaged those out and brought you to the 300.
Okay.
So that wasn't just a like, oh, you're going to make it fine. Like, that's like, you were going to make that. So there was no need pushing it too late. But you're now a Krsnik, and you have 1 month worth of blood.
Yes. Yeah, I've listed that.
I'm gonna.
Shit, that was a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, how did everybody enjoy the session? Oh, I can probably stop the recording now.
Good. That was fun. Mage is a